Hey, all my science classes. That includes chemistry, biology, earth science, and middle school science. All of you. Today we're going to take a look and discuss something that we can't even see. What? How can we talk about and even study something that we can't see? Well, the reason I can't see them and you can't see them is because they are so small. 1 million of them could fit across a piece of hair. Now, if we had an electron microscope handy, we could see them, but those are super expensive and you can't just go anywhere and buy one of those. You can't go to Walmart and you can't buy one of those there. They're very special, and sadly, I don't have one. I've looked through one, but I don't have one. But scientists at research facilities do. And those scientists are the ones who can describe what the smallest particle on Earth looks like. We are talking about atoms. So everybody in their first lessons at Khan Academy or this first enrichment video lesson, we're going to be talking about atoms. For most of you, this will be a review, but something I think is important for all of you to understand completely. Okay, because it relates to everything that we're going to be talking about in all of my science classes. So this is kind of an introductory, an enrichment video that is going to cover atoms. All right. Now, we're going to shrink ourselves down and dive into the world of atoms. Whether you are taking chemistry, like I said, biology, earth science, or middle school science, they all begin with understanding the building blocks of matter, which are atoms. I'm going to try and demonstrate how small atoms really are after I talk about them a bit. I'll get as close as I can to how small they are that you can see them. Before we jump right into atoms, though, I want to talk about something we can see and how it is related to atoms. All you have to do is look in the mirror. Take a if you have a mirror around. Take a look in the mirror. What do you see? Okay. You see yourself, of course, but you also see a gazillion atoms put together to make up you. You are made up of atoms. You are matter. The table that I'm sitting at is matter. The chair I'm sitting on is matter, just like your chair is matter. So let's try to break it down. We have you, the human body. All right, that's us. You touch yourself, you're matter. You matter, and you are matter. Your body is made of what? Organ systems. A lot of you, we covered this in my middle school science class and in my biology class. You are made of organ systems like the respiratory system, the nervous system, right? The digestive system, okay? Which is made up of what? Of organs. Like the lungs or the stomach or your brain. Your brain's an organ. Probably the most important organ, I would think. All right. Organs are made up of tissues. All right. Tissues are made up of cells. And usually that's kind of where we stop. We say cells are the smallest thing that we can see, because we can't see cells underneath a regular microscope, which you've seen pictures of and I've shown videos of. The cell is known as the smallest unit of life. Everything that is alive is made up of cells. What does it mean to be alive? You're alive, but is the chair you're sitting on alive? No. It may move, but usually not by itself. It doesn't eat food. It doesn't make baby chairs. It doesn't really interact with its environment, which most living things do. Okay, and we've talked about what makes something alive versus not alive. We're not going to get into that too much, but it's made of something. Okay, that something is called matter. Again, everything around you is made up of matter, whether it's alive like your pets or non-living like a rock. It's something you and I have in common with rocks, believe it or not. We too are made up of matter. Our cells are made up of matter. Okay. As we dive deeper towards the world of atoms, so we're getting smaller and smaller in order to try to see these atoms, things get smaller. We know that a cell is the smallest unit of life, but it's made up of even smaller items. It has a nucleus, ribosomes, Golgi bodies, endoplasmic reticulum, etc. If you think back to the edible cell experiment that I did in a couple of my science classes, the candy that was put in the gel, those were the organelles, which is the same thing as saying tiny little organs similar to the ones in our bodies, but only in the cells, like the nucleus. Okay. Well, what are these tiny organelles made up of? Well, they're made up of molecules called proteins. Molecules are composed of different types of elements. What are elements? Think back to the big periodic table that's in my classroom. You know, the one that had all those letters on it, like O for oxygen, and C for carbon, and N for nitrogen, and H for hydrogen, and big capital N's, lowercase a for Na for sodium, and Ca for calcium, and Cl for chlorine, etc. All those. It was that big chart. Okay, it's in the back of almost every science book, and it looks something like this. Let me just show you this science book. You remember this kind of looking picture right there? If I bring it a little closer, maybe you can see some of the letters. Okay, so that's the periodic table. And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about elements. What is an element, though? An element is made up of all of this. It's hard to describe. It's all the same type of atoms. Okay, so gold, which is an element, is made up of only gold atoms. Okay, there's no other there's no water atoms in it. There's no hydrogen atoms in it. It's just gold. Okay, so gold is made up of gold atoms only. Atoms are the building blocks of elements. If you could keep slicing up a bar of gold, eventually you would end up with just one gold atom. Now, it would take a long time to do, special equipment, but you eventually would get it sliced down to just one atom. You couldn't see it, but it'd be there. So how many atoms do you have to have together so that you can see them? Well, a ton, a lot. But atoms form elements. Elements bond together to make molecules, and which can combine with other molecules to make a structure. If you have enough molecules, you can see them. Let's see if we can take a look. Okay. Here I'm gonna in a minute I'm gonna show you some sugar in a spoon, something that you can use at home. It's just everyday sugar. Especially if you like milk chocolate Cadbury eggs, like Doc does. It's sugar, okay? Or we take a small spoonful and place it on some dark construction paper and then spread it out. You can see small particles. These small particles are molecules of sugar. You can't see just one molecule, but when enough of them are hooked together, you can see them. Like a grain of sugar is a bunch of molecules. It's not just one molecule, it's a bunch of molecules. Okay? You can do the same with salt or sand. Now, some molecules are made up of atoms. What about atoms? Well, it turns out that they are made up of something too. So let's see if I can demonstrate the molecule of sugar that you can see. If I take some sugar, and I have some sugar in a spoon here, okay, and I put it on a piece of construction paper like this, and I spread it out. Can you see just the individual little ones there? See if I can get it close enough. I've gotten it down to so like you can just see one little tiny grain of sugar there, okay? That is not an atom, and it's not a molecule of sugar. It's many, many molecules of sugar hooked together to form that one tiny little grain of sugar, okay? So the sugar, we got it's molecules. Molecules are made of atoms. Atoms, turns out, are made up of things too. Okay, so although they're the smallest type of thing that we can consider as a building block, it has parts to it, but they're always stuck together. They don't separate. Like in an element, you could take the atoms and keep slicing them down till you got to one atom. An atom, you can't keep slicing it down. It is the smallest thing that stays together. Okay, and it's made up of 3 things to be exact, except for hydrogen. Hydrogen only has 2 particles, but all the others have 3 things. You have a proton, which is a positive charged particle, a neutron, which has no charge, and an electron, which is a negatively charged particle. Okay, I'm going to draw it on a piece of paper, and your assignment for this challenge is going to be to draw one on a piece of paper and show it to me in either my Zoom office hour on this coming Friday, or if you can't do that, you can email it to me as well. So that's what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to draw it, and then I want you to be able to draw and understand it. So I want you to watch carefully in order to get full credit and be entered into the prize drawing at the end of the week. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take a blank piece of paper, just like this, blank piece of paper, and in the very center, I'm going to draw a small circle. Just going to draw a small circle like that. Okay, then I'm going to put a plus sign in it. Put a plus sign in it, just like that. And that is going to be my proton, so I'm going to label it with a P. All right, so you're going to have a plus sign inside a circle with a line going to a P. Okay, can everybody see that? All right, then I'm going to draw another circle the same size right next to it. So it'll look like that. Okay. I'm not going to put any sign in it because that doesn't have a charge. It's the neutron. So I'm going to draw a line and label that N. That is going to be labeled N, like that. Okay. Then, farther towards the corner of the paper, I'm going to draw another circle. So a little bit away from the P and the N, I'm going to draw another circle. Okay. In that circle, I'm going to put a negative sign. It's going to look like that. All right? So there's the plus one. There's the one that doesn't have a charge, the neutron. So I got the proton with the plus charge, the neutron with no charge. I have a little farther away, another particle with a minus sign. What is that called? Everybody, I'm sure you know. It's an electron. I'm going to label that with a lowercase e. So it's going to look like something like that, okay? I hope you guys can all see that. This is the first time I'm doing it like this, okay? I have a whiteboard, but I've got some information on there that I wanted to show you later. So I'm doing this. Then I'm going to take a line from the electron. I'm going to draw a path around the proton and the neutron and back to itself. So it's going to look like that, if you can see that. So I took the electron and drew a circle. That's the path it takes around the proton and the neutron, which happen to be the nucleus of the atom. And the electron circles around it super fast, in a cloud, really. But for this purpose, I'm just going to have you draw that. So your assignment is to draw this: a proton, a neutron, electron circling the nucleus of the proton and the neutron. Probably the easiest assignment that I've ever given you guys to do. And I usually don't give homework, but this is super easy. And if you can do this, you'll understand what an atom is made of, what its particles are. And it'll help later on when we do chemistry and we talk about negative charges and positive charges. It's a simple assignment, but It's a concept that I think is probably the most important one to understand. So if for some reason you're not understanding the way I explained it, then you can talk to me about it in the Zoom office hour meeting, okay? Because I'm giving you a whole rest of the week to come up with that drawing, so it shouldn't be too bad, all right? We'll talk more about atoms and elements and molecules and in the next video, because remember, I'm making 2 videos. This is the first one for everybody, and the one that they'll show on Thursday at 9 o'clock was when you'll have access to it. Will be I might split that up into earth science and middle school science, biology, and chemistry. I have to see how much of it's going to be similar. But hopefully all of you are doing the Khan Academy. I talked to you this morning in my office hours, and at least some of you have, and I can see on my Khan Academy teachers dashboard, we call it, who's been doing what and how much time. So try to do that. And remember, these are the ways that you can contact me. You can contact me through, you can watch my YouTube videos. You can come to my Zoom office hours, or you can do the Khan Academy work, which the Khan Academy work is something that I can actually see how much you've done. Okay? Hopefully I've explained atoms to you and you get an idea of how small they are. We can't see them, but they're super important and they're a part of our everyday life. Okay? This is Doc. Take care. Out.